All right, all right. Well, good morning, Vision Church. Wow, gosh, man, that is horrible, man. Good morning, Vision Church. Good morning. Yes, I love that. This is the time of the service where we get to celebrate by the giving of our tithes and offering. I am going to go ahead and ask our host teams if they would to come forward. And while they're doing that, I've got a couple announcements for you. Now, there is a date that is on every parent's calendar right now, circled, highlighted with exclamation points. Back to school. Whoop, whoop. I'm loving that. I'm telling you. We are ready at the Evans house. And I think the kids are too. They're starting to get bored. But we love to celebrate that type of thing here at Vision. And on the 30th, after that week gets by, on the 30th, we're going to have the back to school blast off. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of good times. It's not just for the kids, it's for the parents too. We're all going to have a good time. It's going to be immediately following the service. It'll be right outside. And one of my favorite things about that day is there's going to be a lip syncing contest. I'm telling you what, that is worth the price of admission right there. And it's free, by the way. So, you know, easy stuff there. But a lot of adults are even getting in on the lip syncing competition. If you're interested in that, go back to the Viz Kids area. They'll take care of you back there and get you signed up for that. Now, we have an important week next week, the 23rd. It's a very exciting time for us at Vision Church. First off, there's the ownership class that's going to take place right after the service. It takes about 45 minutes. If you're new here to Vision, or if you've been courting us for a little bit, we do an ownership class, and it's where you can find out a lot more about what we believe, why we believe what we believe, and what we believe. And myself and Matt will be hosting that. I encourage you to come out to that. And then at the end, you have the opportunity, if you would like, to sign up to be an owner here at Vision, because at Vision, there's no members. Members have rights. Owners have responsibilities. So I'm excited about that. Then, later on that afternoon, we're having an outdoor service. It'll be at Wesley Acres Swim Club. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to encourage you, get out there, because that's where you really get to know some people here at Vision. You know, everybody's got their good Sunday smile on now. But when people are doing cannonballs, that's when you really get to know them. I mean, you know. So definitely come out. It'll be open swim 4 to 6. And then at 6 o'clock, we're going to have our outdoor service, which will include our very first baptism here at Vision Church. I am super excited about that. And we already got a lot of people interested in that. And if you're interested in that, immediately following the service today, there'll be a baptism class. The adults and our students, high school, middle school, they'll meet right in here, right afterward. And then if you're elementary age, you just take your kid back to the Viz Kids area, and they'll have a class back there. It's a great time, man. You know, baptism, that's something you will never forget, your public profession to knowing Jesus Christ. You will never forget that. So I'm excited about that service, our very first. Looking forward to that. Now then, today, our famed leader, our head pastor, Matt Vanderbilt, he's not here today. He's on vacation. But that gives us a chance to be creative. And I'm loving that, you know. So what we're going to have today is we're going to have a great teaching from the Andy Stanley. He is the head pastor at North Point Church in Atlanta. It'll be via video. It's a great message. I've seen it. And he's going to be talking about Jonah. And if you know anything about the Bible at all, you'll know that Jonah, he was a runner. He is the Forrest Gump of the Bible. He ran from God. God told him to do something, he ran. And we got a great story about that. A good friend of mine is going to come up, him and his wife, Craig and Lorena. Can you guys come up? Let's give it up for them guys. There you go. Here you go, Craig. Now, first of all, first question, how bad did I butcher your name there? Witkowski. Is that right?
That's great. That's right.
Man, I'm going to tell you, I've been practicing on that. Okay, I've talked to you before, and we've got to know each other over the past couple of weeks, and I've heard your story. It's a great story. And I know that during your teenage years, you started what I call the run from God. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was raised Roman Catholic. Not sure, are there any recovering Catholics in the room? And our family, we went to church every Sunday, but we weren't overly religious. We celebrated Christmas and Easter. But as I was growing up in my faith, the Catholic Church it's big on rituals, it's big on the sacraments, First Communion, confession. So those are important milestones when you go through growing up a Catholic. And as I was trying to grow my faith, they always talked about Jesus Christ as being the Savior, but I was having a hard time understanding how he could be my personal Savior. And one of the things we did when you go through confirmation, it's this big decision where you're entering the Catholic Church as an adult. You're making this adult decision. And they encourage you to pray and to think about things and ask questions. And I was doing that because I had a lot of questions, but I wasn't getting a lot of answers and a lot of guidance through that process. And it was very frustrating for me because I had a lot of things I needed to know. And as part of that experience, it really started pointing out all the hypocrisies and bureaucracy of the Catholic Church, and I really started retreating. And actually through that process, made a decision. I rejected God, I rejected the church, and at that point when I really should have been like running toward God and running toward the church, I actually headed in the opposite direction, and I still went to church through my teenage years, but I was completely tuned out and had rejected God and actually became a self-proclaimed agnostic. So I definitely went in the opposite direction.
I can understand that. Well, let me ask you this. I know this is kind of personal, Greg, but when was the moment that you kind of just, you held up your white flag and said, okay, God, I'm listening now, I'm coming back?
Right. During college, I met my lovely wife, and shortly after college, we got married, and actually today is our anniversary. It's our 29th anniversary today.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I remembered. But we started our family and growing together and with our children, but we didn't have a faith life. And we had lots of great triumphs and lots of struggles as we were growing as a family, but nearly about 10 years ago, things in our lives really started unraveling. My relationship with my son, which had been wonderful and nurturing earlier on, it became toxic. And I mean, it was way beyond just the struggles with the teenage years, and we became very distant. My wife and I were having trouble, and we were kind of drifting apart, so that wasn't working. This was around 2008. I lost my job. I was working in banking, and I was actually working at part of the banking industry was at the epicenter of the financial collapse. She had taken a new job and had actually moved to a little apartment in Lincolnton. So there were a lot of these horrible things going on, and there wasn't any money. I was trying to get work, and everything seemed to be going wrong, and I felt like I got to a point where I was, I was kind of at the edge of a cliff and kind of looking over the edge into this dark abyss of nothingness. And it just seemed like everything I was trying to do by myself, it just wasn't working anymore. And I actually made the conscious decision. I actually prayed to God for the first time in decades and said, God, I give up. I can't do this by myself anymore. I can't take care of myself. I need you to take care of me. I need you to make the decisions for me and help me to get along in my life. And shortly after that, I like to say that God was presenting me with the right opportunities in order to grow and to heal. And things began to get better on a lot of different levels. Some were big changes. Some were a little more subtle and took a little bit longer. But it definitely I was on the right road after that.
Lorraine, how are you dealing with all this through this process? Chris, you're going to need to talk, everybody. There you go.
I won't keep it long.
I think he was nervous what she was going to say.
I won't keep it long. I won't say anything wrong. To wives out there who wonder how this happened, I was struggling too and trying to come back to God after those same years of distance when we first married. I'd been a Christian as a child and a teenager, but had also kind of turned my back on him. And when I started back, of course, the womanly tendency is I got to drag him with me back to God, right? And God said, no, leave him alone. And this now, where he is on his journey, is totally God. God made it clear to me I was to do my own work with getting my own heart right and leave him up to him. And this is all totally what God has done. Bless him for it.
Now, Craig, let me ask you this, because in a room like this, I'm sure there's some people that are maybe a couple steps behind you, and I'm all about application. I love learning from people and learning what they're going through. So what advice would you give to somebody, like I said, that's 1 or 2 steps behind you?
Well, I would say, I mean, from my experience, just it's never too late. I mean, I felt like I was wandering for decades, like 30 years. Also, for me, it's just, I feel like go at your own pace. I've been lucky enough to be involved with a lot of good men's ministry groups where there's that connection, there's that fellowship connection, not just the spiritual connection with going to church. And I was actually at a men's ministry event last year, and we had a picture, and it had like a mountain. It showed this like big valley and a river, and it showed a mountaintop, and it was, you're supposed to put on the drawing where you are in your spiritual journey, and there's like a cross up at the top and this bright light. And I was honest, and I was like, I said, well, I'm still down here. I'm way down here. I'm not even at base camp yet. So I'm on the journey, but I'm letting God kind of show me the way and keep the pace that's right for me, and I think it's the right direction.
Well, there's a lot of us there that are not at base camp with you, brother. We love you. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Let's give it up one more time for Craig and Lorraine. That is a lot of our stories, is it not? A lot of us have run from God, and don't worry, man. Moses was out there for 40 years, so, you're good. 30s, that's a drop in the bucket, man. But I understand that, and I've been through that myself. And the message today is going to be talking about just that, about the run that Jonah had and how that could affect you. So I'm not going to hold you up anymore. Let's get Mr. Andy Stanley up on the screen.